Well, hello, FOMO creators. My name is May King Tsang, first name May King, and you are watching the FOMO Creator Show. FOMO means the fear of missing out, and in business, it's a good thing. So, if you want to know how to sell out your next event, conference, festival, summit, digital challenge, you've got a book launch, product launch, service launch, you have come to the right place. Now, today we are going to be talking to, well, me. I thought I would take a trip down memory lane to talk about how I got into FOMO in the first place, and also talk about some of my past guests, my past clients, and give you a little bit of an insight into what FOMO is all about. Now, the fabulous Tim Lewis is with us, a good old friend of the show. Great to see you, Tim. Now, I always start at the top of the show. If I have a guest, I often ask more about that person. So, who is May King Tsang? First name May King. Who is she indeed? Well, I am a FOMO creator. I create the buzz and excitement for any digital challenge, any festival, any conference, any event, webinar, in person, online. I've done it all and I've been doing it since 2009. I'm also an international speaker, speaking in Europe, in America, in Australia as well, the UK, Scotland, and England. Not Wales yet, funnily enough. And I'm also a FOMO trainer and strategist. So I actually teach people how to create FOMO for their own business. So I have a FOMO hour surprise because it's 90 minutes with me, not 60 minutes. Where we go through how you can create FOMO for your business, for maybe a campaign you've got coming up. I can teach you all about that. But enough about me. This is all about you. Well, actually, it is a little bit about me because we're going to take a trip down memory lane. I often do get asked, how did FOMO creator come about? And it's actually a funny story because I was actually creating FOMO for myself. And it was when other people were watching what I was doing that they approached me and say, "Oh, hey, can you do that for me as well?" So I've been creating FOMO since 2009, as I mentioned, and the first business that I created it for was for my tea business. So, my first name is May King, and I had a tea business called Making Tea. Making tea, get it? And I'm one of the top 50 recommended speakers of tea in the world by the Specialty Tea Institute. So I went to university so to study all about tea, had to pass a few exams, blind tea tastings, all this kind of stuff, and it was great. And then that gave me the accolade of one of the top 50 speakers of tea. Now, selling tea, I did something a little bit different. And so I like to collaborate with other people, great whiskey experts, beer experts, chocolate brownies. I worked with chefs. I worked with a global artist. I did a lot of collaborations. And with all the collaborations that I did, I actually tweeted about it. I talked about it. I did blog posts about it. And so this is where the FOMO bits came about because I was creating that buzz and excitement for these collaborations that I was doing with chefs, with wine connoisseurs, pastry connoisseurs, global artists, as I've said, and people were getting excited about it. So much so that when I talked about an event that was coming up or a festival that was coming up, people were actually wanting to buy tickets, which was amazing. And Tim was just commenting on my tea puns, how they're getting out of hand. I do love a good tea pun or so. My biggest accolade actually was in Australia. I lived there for 6 years because I was talking about a particular festival that goes on every year in Brisbane called Eka. I actually got more people attending my event than the previous person, and the previous person was a TV personality. Think David Bellamy, but with an Aussie accent. It was amazing. So that was my proud accolade. I had 75 people attend my tea ceremony, and I talked about different types of tea. And he was talking about plants and so on. But I guess he wasn't a great adopter of social media at the time. He's certainly improved since then. But at the time, I actually got 30 people attending my event more than he did. So that was my biggest accolade. So yeah, this is a little bit about me back in the day. I was a founder of Making Tea, as I said, and I also talked about tea. So I called myself a tea note speaker, traveling around the different cities in Australia, actually, talking about tea and collaborating with tea rooms to highlight some of the fabulous teas and how they're made and so on. I was a ghostwriter as well. I do love my tea puns, and I also created Queensland's first Facebook group as well. So Facebook groups was just started out in 2010, and about a week later, I jumped on it and thought I better do something about this, and so I did. And the Facebook group is still running to this day, home to about 10,000 businesses, which is amazing. So that's basically where it started, to be honest. And I had a good old time in Australia talking about tea, writing about it, doing some incredible stuff. One of my proudest moments is working with a global artist. He was also one of the creative directors of the Beijing Olympics. And so we collaborated together where I performed Chinese tea ceremony in amongst his art exhibition, which was incredible. So I must have served about 4,000 cups of tea, a particular type of tea that was Sai Guo Chang's favorite, which was called Iron Goddess of Mercy. And so performing that Chinese tea ceremony with my own British twist on it. Was just a fabulous experience. But Australia didn't want me. Boo! Unfortunately, I went over to Australia to support my husband. In a couple of years, he decided he didn't want to be married to me anymore. So I had to fight immigration to try and stay, and fought as hard as I did for 4 years. And eventually said, no, you are one of the top 50 recommended speakers of tea, but you're not number one, are you? So go home. So that was it. 2016, came back home, and then started networking again and building relationships with people in on the socials and also in person as well. And in fact, Tim Lewis was one of the people that I had admired for years on Twitter, and he recommended a few conferences to go to in order to learn more and network with people. And so I went to Social Media Marketing World in San Diego and met these fabulous guys. The fabulous Andrew and Pete. So that's them over on the left hand side with me in San Diego. And I pitched to them. I actually said, would you like a professional live tweeter? And they said to me, well, can you do Facebook and Instagram as well? And I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And that's how FOMO Creator started. Because when I came back to the UK, I would tell people that I'm a professional live tweeter, I'm a live content creator, social media correspondent, um, and um, and Andrew and Pete said, "No, you're not. You're a FOMO creator." And that's where it all started. So the first conference that I did was theirs in the UK, and that was a fabulous Atomicon. And that's me over on the right hand side there. So, in their first conference in 2019, I think I was asked to announce a winner of a prize for being the most engaged person on social media. I think it was something like that, anyway. And yeah, and that was my first foray back into FOMO creating when I came back into the UK. Now, what is FOMO all about? Well, FOMO means it helps to bridge the gap between social media and PR. And on the left hand side there's a fabulous film, The Truman Show. And it's a fabulous show, way ahead of its time. Truman, who is Jim Carrey's character, was being filmed 24/7 and he didn't know. But viewers, people were watching him and they were hooked. You know, they loved his trials, tribulations, what he was up to, his loves, him going to work, leaving work, hanging out with his friends, and all the rest of it. And when he found out that he was being filmed, he decided he didn't want any of it. And so he escaped. And when he escaped, then the viewers just went on their merry way, decided to watch something else. So there are two things that this fabulous film can teach us. The Truman Show was recording Truman 24/7. Now, we as business owners, we have the power to decide what to post onto the socials. We don't have to be recorded 24/7 because that would be boring, wouldn't it? But we can decide what we can show to the world. And we can't just show the business side of stuff, show a little bit of the personal stuff as well so that people can get to know us. And if they get to know us, if they like us, if they trust us, then maybe then is the right time for them to slide into your DMs to find out more about your business. That's what FOMO is all about. Now, the second lesson that the Truman Show taught us is that once he decided he wanted out, people went on their merry way. So, we don't want our customers or our potential clients to go to our competitor, do we? No. So, this is why it's important to remain consistent in our marketing, to keep showing up, show more, post more, engage more. And that's what FOMO is all about. Now, with the FOMO Creator Show, I've been doing this for over a year now, with a few little breaks in between. And with some of the guests that I've brought onto the stage, I've often asked about the ABCs of FOMO. So I just want to go through a little bit about that again. So the ABCs of FOMO include these are just some of the guests that I've invited. So we've got the fabulous Tim, not Tim Lewis, who's been engaging with us just now, but the fabulous Tim, who is talks about social selling. So he's the author of a book called Social Selling, and we talked about how to create FOMO for B2Bs. On the right hand side there, we've got the fabulous Amanda Webb, and she is my co host for another podcast that I do, which is The Extra Shot. And she's a Google Analytics girl. So if you want to know who's stalking you on your website, who's lurking, and where they've come from, you need to contact Amanda. In the bottom right hand corner, we've got George Ciosi. He's incredible at building community. And so we talked about how to build community. And if you don't have a community, then you can't create FOMO, basically. You'll be creating FOMO into the, into the ether, and no one will be paying attention. So building a community is really important. And then the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the fabulous Rachel Spencer. She teaches her community how to gain more press, traditional press, and also utilizing that on social media. So we talked about how to create FOMO for your pet business, but that particular episode is applicable to any business, to be honest with you. So when it comes to Let's see. Can you hear me now, Tim? Says he can't hear me at the moment. Hopefully, you can hear me now. Um, so Um, so behind the scenes is just showcasing who you are and what you do. As for me as a FOMO creator, but for whatever you do, it's quite nice to see what it is you do and showcasing a little bit of that, and then creating content for the lurkers. So this is actually fabulous. So Tim says he can hear me now. That's great. Phew. That's great. The lovely Joe Nutkins is with us as well. Hello, Joe. It's lovely to see you here. Always a pleasure to see you here. So creating content for the lurkers. Now, one of my fabulous guests, Kerry Jordan, she actually we talked about how she created FOMO before, during, and after an event. And so after she asked me to she took up on my FOMO hour surprise because it's 90 minutes, not 60. We actually got through 45 different ideas for her in order to generate some buzz and excitement for her business, in order for her to approach some exhibitors at Crufts, which is the UK, probably one of UK's biggest dog events of the year. And so she wanted to approach the pet exhibitors because she is a commercial pet photographer. Now, she didn't want to inundate herself with too much. And so she put a little disclaimer that she would love to work with some of the exhibitors, but she put a cap on it. And in creating that cap of 13 exhibitors, she actually sold out. There were lots of people who said, "Oh, I missed out." And that was a FOMO kicking in because people were getting excited about what she was about to do. This is the pre-FOMO bit. She actually got 13 filled up very, very quickly, which meant that on the day of the event, she was able to go to those 13 exhibitors and then talk to the others who missed out. Perhaps it's an opportunity that she can go back to at a later stage. So that's this is all about. Where she offered to create some free content for Crufts, and as I said, she very quickly closed the offer as well, which was great. So that's how you can create content for your lurkers. If they get buzzed, if they get excited, if you sold out, they'll be like, "I missed out. Oh, when are you available for the next one?" And that's what happened with Kerry, which is amazing. Now, as well as talking about the ABCs of FOMO, so authentic authority, BTS. No, I don't mean that global K-pop sensation, but behind the scenes. And C is create content for the lurkers. I also, from time to time, talk about the PLPs as well. And PLPs means pre-FOMO, live FOMO, and post FOMO. And it's what I am particularly good at. So the PLPs of FOMO then, we're going to start with pre-FOMO. So pre-FOMO is in the lead up to an event. What can you do to try and get people to get that ticket? If you just weren't waiting for a few last minute Marys to decide, whether they're going to buy a ticket, whether they're going to buy your book, whether they're going to buy your service or not, you may want to give them a little bit of a push, a little bit of a nudge. And that's what this is all about. So this is just a couple of occasions where I interviewed people, and I interviewed some speakers, some sponsors, some attendees in order to drum up a little bit of business. And no, PLP is not Parliamentary Labour Party. Tim, thanks for clarifying. So So I'm often hired to create a little bit of pre-FOMO, and this is where I interview speakers, attendees, sponsors, influencers, in order to drum up a little bit more business. So if you have a book that you're waiting to launch, then if you've written a book before, or if people have worked with you before, doing interviews with those people and sharing their thoughts about your up and coming book is really important. Or maybe you've got a few people who've read your book. And so, maybe they read the first release of it. There were beta testers or something like that. Doing interviews with those people to share a little insight into what the book is all about, or your product or your service, giving a little insight. That's what pre FOMO is all about. And in fact, it doesn't have to be for a festival or an event or a conference. The We had a celebration for a non-profit called Get Out, Get Active, and they were an initiative during the pandemic and afterwards to try and get people to get out a bit more, get a bit more active, and work with other people to get out and get more active. And it inspired people to actually do things by themselves. So at the bottom of the slide there, we've got a few interviews with some fabulous people from the Get Out, Get Active initiative, including a lovely lady called Rosie, who, after being involved in the Get Out, Get Active program, she decided to go into her church and set up her own coffee morning to get people to become more active and not be isolated at home, which was incredible. So that is pre FOMO, but it doesn't have to be for events, as I've mentioned. It can be. It doesn't have to be in the style of interviews either. And so when I was in Australia, I had a Facebook group called Queensland Business. And so when we ran events, I would talk about it in the Facebook group, and I would mention it. I'd talk about the impact that it's made, what it's all about, and if we have guest speakers who we're going to hear from, that kind of thing. On the right hand side, there is a WhatsApp group. So I was part of a WhatsApp group which was in the lead up to a conference that was being held in the Netherlands, in Utrecht. And so getting involved with the speakers and some of the attendees, getting to know each other, organizing um, dinner dates, that kind of thing, was fantastic. And then people were asking questions about the event, how to get there, where to stay, that kind of stuff. So, getting involved in that is also part of what a FOMO creator's role is all about before the event. Now, as well as pre FOMO, we've got live FOMO, of course. And the best time to market your next event is at this one. And a lot of people are missing out on this. The reason being is that people have a traditional way of marketing an event where they'll push really hard in the 3 months in the lead up to the event. And then on the day of the conference itself, it's like they breathe a sigh of relief and think, oh, thank goodness it's over. Then they'll rest for 9 months and then they start all over again. Now, you don't need to do that. Okay. That's a traditional marketing way for events, but do the FOMO way. The FOMO way is to create lots of buzz and excitement on the day of the event and start selling at that event itself, which is what many conferences who understand what FOMO is all about will do. So, of course, going back to the fabulous Andrew and Peter course, they knew exactly what I was all about. And so they hired me in 2019 and I tweeted for them 1,279 tweets. I created 30 Instagram posts for them, 15 Facebook posts, 5 Facebook Lives. And they also sold from the stage as well. And so in that year, they sold 75 tickets within the hour, 475 tickets within the week. Now they've hired me every year since. And last year for Atomicon 23, they sold 850 tickets in just 10 days. Isn't that amazing? Now, it's not just the FOMO that works, of course. It has to work in conjunction with a coordinated social media strategy and email strategy. And Andrew and Pete do that so well. But the live definitely helps. And so this is The following year was 2020, and of course, that was the start of the pandemic, wasn't it? So very quickly, Andrew and Pete had to change their in-person event that they were going to run into a online summit. And what they did was they extended it into 30 days just to give value and to make sure that the community was, didn't feel like they were alone. So what I did for the online event was I showed up every day for 30 days in the morning from my bedroom, just showing up and letting people know what they were going to see on that day, leading up to the big event at the end of the month as well. I loved it. It was very tiring, but there were a few people who were very appreciative of what I did because they actually gave me gifts, which was really nice. Because, as we know, at the start of pandemic, it scuppered a lot of people. A lot of businesses had to, a lot of business owners had to go back into full time work. They're feeling a little bit isolated, and so a few people said, by me bringing the joy, bringing the FOMO, bringing the energy into the room from my bedroom, it gave them a lot of joy as well, which was really nice. And these are just a few other ways in which I created live FOMO. So on the left there was a digital challenge by the fabulous Melissa Love. And so in their Facebook group, I turned up and I helped each other, and I got a lovely little message there from one of the attendees who says we all need a little bit of making in the morning, which is lovely. And in the middle, remember I was saying that I was speaking at an event in February. I was also creating FOMO for them as well. So on Instagram, I created 74 Instagram stories, 6 Instagram posts, and I spoke as well. They sold from this stage, and so they sold a lot of tickets in anticipation for next year, which is great. And then on the right hand side, we've got the fabulous Shelley Hutchinson. From client Nectar, and she has a LinkedIn Leads on Tap challenge, which she runs 2-3 times a year. And I've been doing this since 2020 actually. So for 4 years, I've been interviewing some of the attendees, some of the winners, as being as taking part as part of that challenge, and so creating a little bit of live FOMO there in order to create more buzz and more excitement about her challenge, which led into the sale of her program. And as a result of the live FOMO, the pre FOMO, she's had conversions of about 5% on the people who have taken part in her challenge. Now 5% of 2,000 people is not bad, is it? Not bad at all. So we've got pre-FOMO, live FOMO. Then, of course, post-FOMO. This is after the event. And in case you missed it, this is what we need to talk about, because not everybody is sitting on our thing 24/7. So we need to remind people. So by saying in case you missed it, you're letting people know what people might have missed out on. So this is a fabulous Amanda and myself, and we host a fabulous podcast called The Extra Shot. Sometimes Tim is a part of that, which is great. And we talk about this week's latest digital marketing news. And so you can listen to it wherever you listen to your podcast, but sometimes I like to clip a little bit of it from Spotify, and then post that onto Instagram just to remind people what people have missed out on. So that's what post FOMO is all about. And we talked about the fabulous Kerry from Fur and Fables, a commercial pet photographer. She's great at creating post FOMO, actually. And so she actually saw one of the exhibitors creating their own FOMO, and she shared it across her network. So this is what she was doing there. And Tim was just remarking on how the live recording is a lot more fun. Yes, it absolutely is. You're right. When it comes to when it comes to an event, we want to capture that live buzz event. We can create a polished video afterwards if we want to, that captures videos and highlights and reels of of the events. But there's nothing more nothing more valuable than seeing something live, and just showcasing it there and then. If there's mistakes, that's fine. We throw them in as well. Blooper reels, that kind of thing. It just shows that you're human, doesn't it? So that's the pre FOMO, the live FOMO, and the post FOMO. And let's talk about the next segment of the show, shall we? I love that video by the fabulous Mark Orr. And if you wait until the end credits, you'll see the fabulous work that Tim Lewis has done with the end credit video as well. Tim is an absolute magician when it comes to creating incredible videos. So the next segment of the show is FOMO promo and FOMO shout out. So, Tim and Joe, I would absolutely love it if you typed into LinkedIn a little comment to say who you are and what you do, so that we can give you both a bit of a shout out as a way of saying thank you for tuning in live to my show today. I hope that you found this useful. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you all a bit of a FOMO promo of my own whilst we wait for Tim and Joe to pop in their comments. So, my FOMO promo is the FOMO hour surprise. Surprise because it's 90 minutes, not 60, as I keep telling you. Now, for those of you who may have heard me bang on about Small Business Sunday, SBS, this is the brainchild of the fabulous Theo Pathetis, who was once on Dragon's Den, who was a fabulous dragon, or Shark Tank is the Aussie and US equivalent. And so if you are an SBS winner and you would like to partake in my FOMO hour surprise, then I've got a surprise for you. And normally my FOMO hour surprise is £175, but for you SBS winners, it's just 100. And for anybody else who's been watching the show, the replay or live, then the FOMO hour surprise is £125. And I've had lots of business owners ranging from product-based businesses, service-based businesses, authors who've taken part in it. I've been able to give them lots of ideas specific to their business, specific to a campaign that they wanted to raise awareness of. And we have a lot of fun through it. As I mentioned with Kerry, I was able to give her 45 different ideas. With another lady who wanted to raise awareness about her awareness day, Nikki French. She had an awareness day early this week on the 2nd of April called Don't Walk Your Dog Day. Don't walk your dog? That's a bit controversial, isn't it? But no, it isn't. And so she wanted to raise awareness about that. And so after our FOMO hour surprise, she'd written 6 pages of notes, and she was really, really happy with what we talked about. And so she was able to implement some of them in order to raise awareness about Don't Walk Your Dog Day. So let's do a bit more of FOMO promo, shall we, to the fabulous Jo Nutkins. So she says she's loving the show as always, which is lovely. And she's Jo, and she runs the dog training for Essex and Suffolk, Pet Dog Training and Fitness. It's a canine fitness month, so there's lots happening this month. That's great. And she also added another comment, which is thank you, which is really nice. And she said SBS is so worth entering. Yeah, absolutely. If you go to Theo Pathetis's website, theopathetis.com, and go to the About SBS page, it will show you all the details. But in a nutshell, if you go onto either Instagram or Twitter and join in, and you basically tell the world, or SBS, who you are and what you do. And Theo Pathetis will personally select 6 businesses that he deems worthy of winning. Now, some people have entered for 2 years. I actually met someone who's entered for 4 years, but persistence paid off and they eventually won. They weren't right happy with me when I entered first time and I won first time. But it is really worth entering because you get a whole series of perks, and one of them is that you get invited to an SBS Winners exclusive conference. Which is held every year, and I have the pleasure of attending this time for the first time, and it was an incredible conference. It was amazing. So, do try every Sunday to try and enter the SBS competition and see if you can be worthy of a winner. Now, the fabulous Tim says, "You've already given me a shout out." Yes, I know, Tim, but you're amazing. But he also runs the Book Chat live show and also the Oh No, Not Another live show. And both are now streamed on LinkedIn, which is amazing. So definitely go and check Tim Lewis out. He has incredible guests. They range from all sorts of people, not just business people. And especially with his Book Chat live show, he brings up guests and they talk about the books that define them or that they were really interested in as well. So definitely get involved with that. Now there's lots of people joining me on Instagram, which I didn't realize. So I just wanted to say hello to Chris. Hello to John from Well Shot Photography. Lovely to see you. Wicket Cricket 100 is here as well. Lovely to see you too. Railburger, hello. Stand Up and Speak Out the Musical joined. Oh, hello. And Poochie Care 8. Hello there, Alison. Lovely to see you. Becca Axe, Launchpad Associates. Oh, hello, my lovely Beverly. And Alison from Poochie Care 8 is saying, amazing show, love watching. Now, Poochie Care 8 I'm going to give her a bit of a shout out as well. Alison is an incredible lady. She also signed up to the FOMO Hour surprise because it's 90 minutes. Not 60 minutes, but 90 with me. But she has an incredible place where she looks after one dog at a time. So if you are wanting your dog to be looked after whilst you're on holiday, and you don't need to worry about your dog not getting the full attention it deserves, you need to go and contact Alison from Poochie Care 8 because she will only take one dog or a family dogs at any one time. And there's a reason for that. So definitely go and check her out as well. Yes, Tim was reminding me, don't forget the gram. I know, have so many followers on the Instagrams, and I didn't even say hello. How rude of me. Now, my final FOMO hour, FOMO promo is my event, which is going to be called Hype Your Business Live. It is going to be held on November the 13th in my hometown of sunny Chesterfield, home of the Crooked Spire. Yes, we've got a fabulous church, and the spire is crooked. How strange is that? And we've already got 2 sponsors already who've decided to join me. How amazing is that? So save the date, 13th of November, not only because it's my 51st birthday. Yes, I'm 51 this year. Don't worry, I know it's the Chinese genes. I look amazing, but I promise you, when I turn 80, I'll look permanent like 100. Honestly, my mum's in her 70s now. She still looks great, but I know that when she turns 80, she'll look like she's 100 years old. That happens to us all Chinese, honestly. So yeah, come and join me in Chesterfield, November the 13th. I'm just talking to a brand specialist at the moment to get the website done and dusted. But we are going to be helping you to learn how you can hype your business live. and we're going to have lots of incredible speakers. I talked about Kerry earlier, didn't I? From Fair and Fables, commercial pet photographer. So she's going to be one of our speakers. I've got a whole host of other speakers as well. So do watch out for that. But I will be banging on about this conference every week for the next few weeks. So do watch out for that. But very excited that we've got 2 sponsors on board already. And yeah, so Tim says, woohoo, November 13th in the field. Absolutely. And Joe is also saying, it sounds really cool. Oh, it's going to be so cool, Joe. You have no idea. You need to come. You need to come. I would love to see you there. Poochie Care 8 is just saying thank you for her shout out. You are very welcome, Alison. I absolutely adore what you do. That's it for me, folks. I hope you enjoyed this chat. As ever, if you've got any questions at all on what we talked about today, then do not hesitate to slide into my DMs and ask your question, because no question is a stupid question. Let's bring up the end credits, the fabulous end credits that Tim Lewis created. And if I don't see you, this has been the FOMO Creator Show. My name is May King Tsang, first name May King. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.